to get to share it with you guys. My name is Quinn Hamilton, this is Indigo Weeb, and that's Madeline Penner. The project we've been working on is nutrition and homeostasis and how that relates to diabetes. And so yeah, we hope you learned something from our presentation.
Okay, so nutrition plays a huge role in a diabetic's life, preventing diabetes and maintaining homeostasis. We'll be talking to you about how effects of not leading a healthy lifestyle can cause diabetes and how living a healthy lifestyle with diabetes.
So if you are diagnosed with diabetes, it is important to see a dietitian and your family doctor. And just a reminder that if you do have diabetes, it doesn't mean you have to stop eating all the good and sugary foods. That just means you have to limit them and watch out for them.
Okay. The first thing we'll be talking to you about is how not maintaining homeostasis and nutrition can cause diabetes. So some negative lifestyle habits you can have are lack of exercise, unhealthy dietary habits. This can lead to obesity, which has its own negative effects. Another one is poverty because they can't afford the healthy foods. And the last one is smoking. These things can lead to being insulin resistant. So this is where your body produces enough insulin, it just doesn't use it properly. Another one is where your pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin or doesn't produce any insulin.
So when your pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin or you have insulin resistance, you can have symptoms. And so if you're experiencing any or all of these symptoms, you should definitely go see your family doctor. Some symptoms include constantly hungry, losing or gaining weight, frequent urination, constantly thirsty, constantly craving sugar, diabetic breath, which is a fruity odor, lack of energy, dry mouth, blurred vision, and at times these symptoms can go on for months without the diabetic realizing it. So if you do have any of the symptoms, it's definitely worth checking out.
So as Maddie mentioned, a negative lifestyle habit, or it's not necessarily a habit, but when you're poor, you can't necessarily afford to buy healthy foods. Therefore, you're going to be eating junk foods or very processed foods, which increases your risk of diabetes. So if your income is $15,000 or less a year, you're at 2 times the risk to get diabetes because you're just not able to get the nutrients you need. Up north, this is even worse. So in Manitoba, the northern communities, it's very tough for them to get fresh food because the roads are open for a very limited amount of time per year. So things have to be flown up to them, meaning they have to get processed or like nothing's gonna be fresh up there. So when we went to the hospital to visit some of the nurses and stuff like that and check out some different things that go on there, one of them said that she goes up north and almost all the time you'll see babies being fed Coke or pop or juice in bottles instead of milk because they just can't come by it. In northern communities, 18.2% of our northern Manitoba has diabetes, and the next closest percentage is 9.7 in the eastern region.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is nutrients. Like Quinn said, people who live in poverty don't get the right nutrients, so we're going to look into that a bit more. Okay, so there are mainly 2 types of nutrients. There's essential and non-essential. We're going to be focusing on the essential nutrients, which are the ones that your body can't produce independently. So, for example, you get these from foods and from your environment, like the sun where it gives you vitamin D. Some fats, carbs, and proteins are main macronutrients. So these kind of make up what your food is made out of, kind of, like the main things. I'll be talking about carbohydrates. Diabetics should have 60 to 80 grams of it, which is 40 to 50% of your calories. There are types of carbohydrates, like sugars, So all carbohydrates are broken down into glucose. So there are mainly two types of sugars. There's simple sugars and refined sugars. Your simple sugars are your natural sugars. So they're like in fruits, vegetables, and things like that. They're fructose, glucose, and lactose. Your refined sugars are your processed sugars. So they are mainly your candies and sodas and like not good stuff you should have. The next one is starches. All starches are produced in all grain plants. They're found in potatoes, corn, wheat, and rice. They're broken down into sugar molecules in the presence of specific enzymes and water, and that glucose is supplied to your tissues for energy. Yeah. The next one is fiber. It plays a big role in your digestive health. There are two types. There's soluble fibers and insoluble. Soluble fibers are the ones that can be dissolved by water, and they lower cholesterol levels and they lower and it regulates your blood sugar. The next one is insoluble fibers, which are the ones that can't be dissolved by water. And they help move food through the digestive system, which can prevent constipation and stuff like that.
Okay, so proteins. In a diet that includes 30 to 40 grams of proteins, which is approximately 20 to 25% of your daily calories. When used for building and repairing tissues, they're really important in your body, and they also make enzymes and hormones. Protein is not best used if you're eating it in large portions, so you really want to take small portions throughout your day instead of having a big steak or something like that. Have like a little bit of peanut butter at breakfast, and then a little bit of chicken in your salad at lunch or something like that. Spread it out throughout your day. Proteins send messages between cells, and that's how it relates to the nervous system in that way. It relates to almost every system of the human body if you were to look into it. And a couple examples are that, the sending messages between cells. It keeps us healthy as part of the immune system, and a protein which called the hemoglobin transfers oxygen in the blood, which is part of your respiratory system. Sodium, you're going to need 2,300 milligrams of it per day, and which is approximately a teaspoon or more. It regulates fluid balance and blood volume. Thank you. It keeps your nerves and muscles working, which is really important for your nervous system, obviously. And excessive amounts of this can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke, but you also do need it in your diet, and too little of it will be an imbalance of water in or around your cells.
So fats, you need 20 to 30 grams of fats per day, or 30% or 40% of your calories. So fats are very important for maintaining cell membranes and regulating vitamin absorption. There are 4 kinds of fats. There is monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated, and trans. Polyunsaturated and monounsaturated are the good ones. Those are the ones you want. They contain omega-3 and omega-6 fats, and those are the ones you're looking for, and you need them to maintain the cell membranes and to regulate the vitamin absorption. The ones that you don't want are the saturated and the trans fats, and that's what you find in processed foods. And the more fats you're going to eat, the fuller you'll feel. So if you have a lot of fat in a meal, you're going to feel fuller quicker. So next we're going to be going into interventions. So interventions are some ways that you're going to treat these things. So if you don't get the right nutrients, it can end up with getting amputations or dialysis with kidney failures and bad circulation, or medical nutrition therapy. So we're going to talk to you now about amputations. So amputation comes from high blood glucose levels, and that leads to plaque building in the blood vessels and not allowing them to deliver a sufficient amount of blood to the cells. And this can come from eating really sugary foods. So when this happens, it'll cause the nerves and blood vessels to damage. And if the nerves and blood vessels damage, you'll get sores, and these sores can be called ulcers. Or you can get infections, and these infections can become very severe, and if they become severe, they will lead to amputations. So a way to get your circulation better is to get lots of exercise in and stay active throughout your day.
The next intervention is dialysis. So 50% of diabetics usually experience kidney failure. What causes kidney failure is high blood glucose levels and blood pressure. A way to prevent this is to maintain those levels and to keep being active and just eat healthy foods. But if kidney failure does occur, then dialysis would be the treatment. There's two types. There's hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis. Hemodialysis is done at the hospital with a machine that filters your body fluids in it, so that is hemodialysis. And peritoneal dialysis is, you can do it at home, you can do it at work. It's where a tube is in your abdomen, and yeah, it takes all the bad body fluids out.
So the last intervention we're going to talk about is medical nutrition therapy. There's usually four main goals to it. So your first one is to attain and maintain optimal metabolic outcomes. So pretty much what it's saying is you want your glucose levels in normal range and your blood pressure and your fats and your proteins to be at a level that keeps you in homeostasis and keeps you healthy. Number 2 is modifying your nutrient intake and lifestyle for the prevention or treatment of obesity or hypertension, cardiovascular disease, nephropathy. Nephropathy is what happens before kidney failure. So before you would have to go to dialysis. It's damage to your kidneys because of diabetes, but you're not quite at kidney failure yet. Goal number 3 is to address individual nutrient needs. So you have to respect the individual and their cultural lifestyles, their personal preferences, and what they can take in individually. Improve health through healthy food choices and physical activity. So you want to choose foods that are good for you and that you enjoy, and make sure that you're finding an exercise plan that works for you. We're going to show you now a sample meal plan, but again, you can always alter it based on your personal needs and preferences. So for breakfast in this meal plan, you're going to have egg and avocado toast, which will have 295 calories and 32 grams of carbohydrate, which is a lot lower in both areas than if you were having like a bowl of sugary cereal or something like that.
For lunch, you could have the turkey and cheese melt, which has 333 calories and 39 grams of carbohydrates.
And for supper, you will have chicken and spiced black beans. It has 491 calories and 42 grams of carbohydrates. And for snack, you just want a low-calorie snack and a low-carbohydrate snack. So here we have a medium pear, a medium apple, or a medium orange, but you can definitely have something else like the yogurt parfait we gave you guys, or something else. Just make sure it's low in those things that we just told you about. And throughout the day, some things that you need to remember is that if you're thirsty, to drink water. All the sugary juices and pops you'll have is just going to raise your blood glucose levels. To eat at regular times. Eating at regular times regulates your blood glucose levels. And snacking isn't bad. You should just limit it and make sure you have the good snacks we told you about. And so, yeah, we're going to go into an exercise plan now.
Okay, so we found this on the one of the books we read in class, and it is an 8-week plan for an exercise. So for week 1 and 2, it's just 15 minutes per day. It's just like an aerobic exercise, and for twice a week, it's just doing arm strengthening.
So as you keep going through the weeks, your time is just going to increase as you get stronger and get better, and your weights are going to increase. You'll start doing some flexibility exercises, and yeah, you're just going to keep on changing your workouts so that they best fit you as you get better at individually.
Okay, so now we're going to get everyone to stand up with us. So throughout your 8-week exercise, you can do this aerobic exercise, but you can add more stuff to it. We're just going to go through a really short exercise with you guys and just tell you how it affects you. So we're going to start with a step touch. On my left, Quinn is doing a high intensity, and on my right, Maddie's doing a low intensity. So do what suits you best. So first, this is the step touch. Your glycogen depletion rate is slow, and your potential blood sugar impact is a steady drop. Next, we're going to be doing a kickback. So at this point, your glycogen depletion rate is slow, and your potential blood sugar level is a slow drop. Now we're doing a step touch. Your glycogen depletion rate is rapid, and your steady drop, or your potential blood glucose level is a steady drop. And lastly, we're doing a knee raise. So your glycogen depletion rate is a steady drop, and your potential blood glucose level is a steady drop also. And back together with step touch. And that's a short workout for you.
And that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you very much again for coming out and joining us. And if you guys have any other things that you want to see, or if you want to see more information, because we don't have enough time for all of it, we've got a website there for you guys. You can definitely go visit. Thanks.